So while I was in Africa between the months of December and January, I thought to myself, why don't I just draw a bunch of Iron Man suits? And I did just that. Greetings, viewers. It's been a while, I know. I do apologize. To be quite honest with you, slowly losing the motivation to make YouTube videos. That also being said, that means anytime I do upload a video, I will try to bring it as high of a quality as I can, with a bunch of cool edits, a bunch of good drawings, maybe even multiple drawings like this video is going to be. You'll see. You'll all see. So, to kick things off, we'll go ahead and show the process for my Android 16 drawing first. This drawing was overall simple in terms of composition. It was a front shot, somewhat low angle, with formal balance, so it wasn't too insane. We have Android 16 doing his Hell Flash move, and I felt that was very appropriate for the situation here, which is Android 16 as an Iron Man suit. Android 16 is probably the closest thing to a full-blown machine in relation to the Iron Man suits, because in the series he is a complete android, whereas the other people are more the human slash robot like situation. Like, they were originally human, but Android 16 is completely robotic. But yeah, the drawing itself was I think maybe about 7 to 8 hours ish, and I know primarily that has to do with the fact that I have no line art on it. I know for my other works that I've done no line art for, they typically take a while because I try to create the forms and shapes with contrast and color separation, so that tends to be a little bit more tricky if it doesn't look right to me at first, so I have to work around it a little bit more. Plus, I was also painting a bit, and I'm still trying to get used to painting. I don't think I ever will get used to painting. That's just how art is. But I do like painting. It's a really cool effect, especially digitally, because you get to experiment with different strokes and different ways that colors and values, shadows blend with each other. But yeah, that was kind of my experiment with this drawing, just to like paint and get used to it. And eventually I even ended up doing some different color palettes for this drawing, which I thought was really fun. It happened with another drawing. It was the Star Platinum Iron Man suit. And so the funny thing about that story was I was with some friends when I was making that drawing online. Like, they were seeing me streaming it, and I ended up a friend of mine was like, hey, why don't you turn off that layer to see what the lighting and stuff looks like on its own? And I was like, okay. I turned off that layer, and boom, that thing looked crazy. I said, what? And we all were losing our minds over just how cool it looked without the colors. And so I figured I'd try to do that this time with a little bit more intention, just to see how it looks. And we ended up with this thing right here, this kind of red and green contrast poster. Kind of looks like a magazine poster, or like an alternate cover to a comic book. I don't know. Moving on from the Android 16 Iron Man drawing, we have the Iron Man suits for Android 17 and 18. And man, do they look intimidating, because I decided to put them in a low angle Dutch shot. Yeah, this is probably my favorite drawing out of, no. This is definitely my favorite drawing out of the 3 that you will see in this video. And it is mostly due to the fact that I wanted to recreate the chrome material shading you'll see on, I don't know, the Spirit of Ecstasy on Rolls Royces, or the grills of cars, or the shiny parts of your watch. Basically anything that's super shiny and super expensive most likely has a chrome finish, or mirror finish, or reflective finish, whatever you want to call it. It was a fun experiment. I don't really do it too often, and so I figured, hey, since they're Iron Man suits, they're supposed to be made of metal, they look super shiny, we'll just do it. And one thing I at least got brought to attention was the way that I approach lighting for other typical surfaces that are mainly diffused or matte finish. You have to approach it differently. Like with chrome, it's almost like you're drawing a mirror multiple times. And so I had to get that into my head and really understand that, because that was how I was going to do the chrome effect. But it was so hard for me to kind of initially think about that, because I was like, wait a minute, how is that going to work? How am I going to add lighting and shading? But then I realized diffused lighting is a mirror. It's just super diffused, so it doesn't look like a mirror anymore. And once I got that across my mind, I was like, oh, okay, I understand. So we ended up having that happen, and I think that's probably why I like this drawing so much, because it was a really nice, like, epiphany moment. It was like that light bulb just went ding. And so I don't know, I feel like doing this drawing helped me a lot with like understanding different materials a little bit more. So yeah, the drawing itself is, like I said, a low angle Dutch shot. We have two colorways for this drawing, one where it just showcases the chrome lighting, and then the other one is them with their colorways based on the show's character designs. Why can't I speak? It's like the outfits they had for the Dragon Ball Z series. Instead of Super, we have the Dragon Ball Z series. So, and I felt that was more appropriate for this drawing, because it's like, hey, they look intimidating. Let's take it back to when they were. That was during their Z era, and everybody was like, oh man, it's the androids. Trunks was losing his mind because, the androids killed everybody in his area, his timeline. So he's like, hey guys, watch out for these two. But yeah, it was just, I like the drawing, how it looks, the colors. Then I added some Japanese text, because something about Japanese text makes things look cooler. I don't know what it is. The Japanese text, by the way, is just their names, like their real names. A couple years ago, Akira Toriyama announced that their real names were, it was like Laluzi and Lazuli, not Lazuli. That is a tongue twister. Lazuli and Lapis. There we go. I said it correctly. And last but not least, we have Perfect Cell. Yeah, I'm not gonna cap. This is probably my least favorite drawing out of the three. And I think that just has to do with the fact that this was my first drawing of the year, at least my first legit digital drawing of the year, coming back from Africa. So I wouldn't be surprised if I was a little bit rusty, not drawing digitally for a month. And I think I was focused more on the design of Cell than I was the actual composition of the drawing. I'm gonna blame it on that. That's my scapegoat for why it's not my favorite drawing. But yeah, I think the design for Cell turned out all right. The main concern with me in the Iron Man suit was just, hey, how do I make Cell look appropriate as a suit? Because Cell is a pretty organic character design. Like, the way he looks is very organic. It looks like a creature. It looks like something that has nothing to do with technology. Whereas Android 16, he looks a little bit more mechanical, because, he has like that giant armor. The androids, they look more human. Whereas Cell, he looks like a legit creature. He is a monster. Now, the idea was, how do I make this monster look more like a suit? And when I was doing it, it wasn't too challenging. There were some parts of it that I was like, how should I go about this? And I took more time on it. Like, for example, his dots. There's a reason why Cell is no longer in Dragon Ball. The dots were a situation where I was like, how do I make this more appropriate for the suit? And I decided, hey, let me do a hexagonal pattern and recreate that as the dots, and then have it create a gradient as well. So it looks like the situation with the dots, like it's still in the same spot. It's just that now it is more appropriate for a suit, because I had a hard time imagining Iron Man suits with dots on them for no reason. I felt like hexagonal patterns were a little bit more appropriate for it. But beyond that, there's not much I have to say about this drawing. He's doing that pose where he is it a spoiler? Can you even spoil Dragon Ball anymore? For the sake of avoiding any potential Dragon Ball Z spoiler for anyone who hasn't watched it, there's a scene where Cell does that exact pose. And so that's why that's why I have him pose like that. It's a reference or homage to that scene. And even the location he's in is reminiscent of that same spot. So, I mean, other than that, yeah, nothing crazy goes on in this drawing. Yeah, I got my goal across. I wanted to create a cool design for Cell as an Iron Man suit. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this video and drawing. Thank you guys for watching, and be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram, because at the moment, I am drawing every day and posting every day. So you can have some fun seeing that happen. Also, shout out to my patrons. Y'all some real ones.